Axis Mundi, the world tree, connects the many layers, worlds, and facets of our universe. The lower world of watery roots provides access points to deep self-knowledge and the realms of those who have come before us. The midworld of earth and form holds humanity and all physical things, a bridge where connections emerge. And the upper world, billowing in its airy canopy, expands with spirit and the magic of source. Traveling these roads of the Axis Mundi is you, a fiery spark of conscious life. Through this podcast, we meet beyond time and space to explore the information found along the vast arterial pathways of the universal Axis Mundi. In each episode, follow your unique compass through this journey of self-knowledge, taking what resonates and leaving the rest. My name is Meg Bartlett, and this is the Axis Channel. Hello and welcome to another episode here on the Axis Channel. My name is Meg Bartlett, and today I am a messenger. I am so excited to share this with you today. I already have the tingles. I have been waiting just a couple of days to share this in case any new information came through, just letting it settle in. But we got some shit to talk about. Shit is getting real, and I am so excited for what may be coming. I don't know exactly what it is. I have some ideas, but this message should give you some sort of an idea, if anything. So let's just get into it. A few days ago, I had a dream that was super realistic, hyper realistic, felt like I was in it, had all the gravity. If you've ever listened to my podcast, The Dream Axis, you know that I talk about the gravity scale, which is something I encourage people to use when they're recording their dreams. Essentially, you base the dream on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, whatever works best for you, and you rate it for how much gravity that you feel in the dream space. Gravity being like, whoa, this is a dream. You know, some dreams you're just like, yeah, that's some psychological bullshit, whatever. Let's let's just think about it. But, you know, some of the dreams that we have are really intense. This was one of those. This was like a 12 out of 10 on my gravity scale. And I have really hyper realistic dreams often, but this was on another level. This was totally immersive. This was like, I knew it was a dream, but it was almost as if I was actually there. So let's just get into it. I'm going to share the dream. I'm going to share the dream that followed this dream. And then we're going to talk about some of the things that you can expect to come and some of the ways that you can just mentally start to prepare for that. There's not a whole lot that you need to do in the physical world to prepare for what's coming, but it's more opening your heart space, being willing to talk to others, reach across the aisle, and just hold space for the world as we're moving into whatever the fuck is next. So, all right. So in the dream, I started out in the parking lot of my childhood church. I was me as I am today. So I was not a child version of myself, but I used to go to a church called St. Raphael's Cathedral in Dubuque, Iowa. And the cathedral faces the street. The main doors are on the street, but I started in the back parking lot, which is where my family used to park. And then we would walk in the back. And in the back of the church is a big community room. And there are doors that lead to hallways on either end of the community room. And those hallways lead into the church. So if you were in the church and you were looking at the altar, there would be on the far left and right sides, 2 hallways that were leading to the back room. So I go into this church and I'm with my mom, but I'm with my whole family, but I'm really with my mom, and she's the focus of this dream. Now, I have a lot of traumatic experience that I've had with my mom. We have a very complicated past. I am currently no contact with her, and that's just what works for me. I love her very much, but the no contact is what's working. I want to preface that because in this dream, we have a really close relationship, right? There's no animosity. There's nothing angry. There's nothing like that. I'm actually helping her in this dream. And we walk into the main community room, and the door that we would normally walk into the hallway that leads to the church center, right? That one is blocked off, and it is staged with a whole bunch of new equipment because the church is about to undergo renovations. So we can't go through that way. So we walk all the way over to the other side of the community room, and then we walk down the hallway, and then we enter the main church. It is a packed mass, like a Christmas mass. That level of crowd is there. And I am wearing a t-shirt that says, I am fucking radiant, full F word. And I really do own this shirt. I love it. It's one of my favorite shirts to wear. I am conscientious when I wear it because I know that, parents with small children might not appreciate that, or, just like, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love it. It is so expressive of me. It has pink flowers all over it, and it just says, I am fucking radiant. And that's how I feel sometimes. So it's the shirt that represents who I am and who I believe myself to be. And I'm wearing this, and I walk into the church, and I am thinking of myself a little I'm like, oh, some people aren't going to like this. And I'm like, but, I'm just going to be me. I'll just watch out for it. I go to grab a seat with my family, and a woman kind of gives me the stink eye, and she kind of like, distracts her child away from my shirt. And I'm just like, it's okay, whatever. And then I get the feeling that I should be covering it up with a sweater, whether that's someone who asked me to cover up my shirt with a sweater or not, I'm not sure. But instead of covering it up with a sweater, I just get really hot. And I'm like, no, I need to be who I am. Like, I'm not trying to cover anything up anymore. This is just me. And you either deal with it or I will leave. And so before the mass even starts, I get up and I decide to walk out because the t-shirt is probably distracting. I am distracting. And I just don't feel like sitting through this mass, but I'm excited to be there and just see what's all happening. So I asked my mom for the car keys. It's not her car. It's not my car. I just say the car keys and I leave. But instead of going out the way we came in, I decide to go through the hallway that is packed full of stuff for the renovations. And as I am, it's almost like an obstacle course. Like I really have to weave my way through all of these plants. It is packed full of plants, massive potted plants, small plants, trees, like just huge plant. It's like a jungle in this hallway. And the church is getting ready to bring the outside in. They're getting ready to fill their space with nature. They're getting ready to fill their space with just so much of earth. Like it's about to get really fucking earthy in this church. and I just remember feeling so excited. I'm like, oh my God, look at all these plants. Like, this is so exciting. And I have this feeling of excitement, and I exit the church and I'm like, wow, that's really neat. And I didn't realize my mom was following me. I turn around once we're outside and she's like, hey, wait up. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's coming with me. And I'm like, well, I am about to go meet some old coworkers. They have a message for me and they can only give it to me in a secure area. But I bet I can, get you in. I bet we can visit together. I bet they'll let you come along. And she's like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. And so we drive off in the car, and then the dream just shifts. And I find myself walking up to a TSA type checkpoint. Now, when I was in the military, I was a signals intelligence Marine, a 2621, and I worked a lot with some very secure information, we'll put it that way. And I used to work in a type of SCIF, which is a secure information facility. And one of the jobs that I had was sitting in front of a computer and processing all different types of information. So I'm going back to this work. I don't feel like I did in the military, right? The dream is just bringing forth the concept of this is like a high level place. This is a place that has a lot of really important information, and we can only share this information in this place because we want to make sure that it's passed along in a secure way. So I walk with my mom, and she gets on the phone because her security guy is calling her. So in my dream, she had her own business. I don't think she has one in waking life, but I haven't connected with her in a while. She might. And she's on the phone with her cyber security guy. And, out in the waking world, we've had a lot of issues with technology lately. And she's talking to him on the phone, and he starts saying, hey, just so you know, our business is down. I'm getting a lot of glitches. He uses the word glitches, and that's important. She starts talking about, oh, well, let's look here. No, okay, let's look here. What do you see when you open this program? What do you see when you look into this account? And they're starting to go back and forth on the phone about this. And he's saying, the more I dig into this, I think this is a global issue. He was like, I don't know what's going on, but there's definitely something happening. And she's trying to work through that. At the same time, we are going through the TSA type checkpoint, and I take out a badge from my dragon scale wallet. Now, I really do have a wallet that is fabric, but it has like rainbow dragon scales on it, but it seems really important that I say that. So if any of you are dragon fans, which I very much am myself, then this is for you in whatever capacity, whatever download that brings to you. So I take out my badge and I check my mom in. They're like, yep, she's good to go. They take our bags. We go through some sort of like a huge X-ray type machine, and we are let into the building. We walk down several hallways. It's like a really busy place. It just looks really intense, right? Like government facility, but nicer. So we walk in, and then we come to the main rotunda, the main area, the main observation deck. Like there's a lot of words I could use for it. There are 3 seats in almost like a semicircle type formation, and they're looking out a big floor to ceiling window. And there's a balcony there with an observation deck, and there's mountains in the background. So I walk up to the 3 seats. 2 of them have occupants, which are my old coworkers. And the one on the right, I immediately know as my old workspace. I used to work here. And my 2 coworkers are so excited to see me. They haven't seen me in forever. They're like just over the moon. They're like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. You know, we're just so glad that you're here. Here, come take a look at this. And I bend down to look at their computers and what they're doing on the screen. Now, these computers are kind of funny. They're like the old Mac computers that you used to have, like Apple Macs, like the ones that I grew up with in grade school. And like I learned how to do PowerPoint on, like the really old school Mac computers. And they're running simulations on these computers. And that's their job. They have been running simulation after simulation after simulation, trying to find the right one with the highest probability of success. And they're getting close. And I have chills as I'm saying that. That is the message. They're getting close. They're so close to getting it right, finding the simulation that's going to work, that's going to be able to be implemented, that is going to bring success, that is going to, like, it's just, they're so close. They're so close. And in one of the simulations that I see, I look at the computer screen and there's some sort of like an aircraft, and it has giant metal balls on it, and they hover it over Mount Everest and they drop the balls onto the mountain. And I'm just like, oh, that's so interesting. And they're like, this is one of the possibilities. And then they're going through some of the other simulations that they've narrowed it down to. While they're still talking about the simulations, I look up to the balcony and I see something outside. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder what that is. So I go and I walk out onto the balcony, and there's just this beautiful sunset. There's like some rain clouds coming in. There's mountains off in the distance. It's like open sky, like we're really high up. And I see a bird with its wings outstretched, frozen in place. Like I could walk right up to it and poke it and it wouldn't move, but it's suspended in midair. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, whoa, what a glitch. That's an interesting glitch. And I'm using that word again. I'm just like, wow, like so enamored by this. Like I'm observing the bird and I'm like, that's so interesting. And then I look up and I see an entire flock of birds who are halfway out from, flying out from under the eaves in various states of their wings being outstretched. And they're getting ready to take flight, but they're all frozen in place. And I'm just observing this and I'm like, what a beautiful glitch. Like, this is so beautiful. It's so mesmerizing. It's fascinating. And I pointed out to everybody else and my mom is like, whoa, that's so fascinating, and my coworkers look at me and they say, yeah, you're going to be seeing more glitches the closer that we get, because the closer we get, the more intention that we draw in connection with the earth, with the planet, and the more that we solidify the next stage of the simulation. That is another big part, which is like, we are going to see more glitches. I'm just like, wow, that's so fascinating. Like, oh my gosh. So my mom and I get ready to leave and the dream ends. At this point, I am almost in the state of wakefulness. And I'm like, oh gosh, I have to write this down. I feel the importance of it. I'm trying to wake myself up. And then somehow I just end up kind of falling back asleep. It's like really early in the morning, I fall back asleep. However, then my husband, Brandon, comes into my dream and he guides me to a parking lot. And the parking lot is empty and there's a picnic table in the middle of it. And we sit down at the picnic table and he says, hey, didn't you just have a really interesting dream? Why don't you share it with me? Why don't we review it here so that you can remember it? I'm going to help you remember it. And I was like, oh, thank you. And so I start explaining the dream to him again. So I'm going through all of the details. I'm organizing them so that I make sure that I remember it. And halfway through my explanation, he takes on my mom's imagery. And I start to get the feeling that it's important to explain it to her and to individuals like her. And it's important to explain it to her with love. It's important to explain it to her with gentleness and with almost like this air of patience, right? And it's not that she's incapable of understanding it. It's just that I can help her ease into the message of the dream. Once I get done explaining it to her, then in waking life, I hear my husband, I hear him get out of bed, and then I too wake up and I'm immediately awake and I immediately start typing down the dream and recording it, making sure that I get all of the details. I walk out and I was like, thank you for helping me remember this dream. And he's like, what? Like no recollection of it. But it was just fascinating. So, and my husband and I get ready for our day, which involves taking our dog outside. And as I let Daruk outside, I see 3 crows flying out of our yard. And I think, oh, was that a sign? Because to me, crows are messengers in the dream space and they represent an important message. And I was like, no, if it's a sign, they would show up much more, in my face. It would be much more prominent. I go back inside and I sit down in our living room and all of a sudden I hear cawing from our window and the 3 crows are in the tree right outside our front window staring at me, cawing at me. And I have a photo of it. So I'm putting the photo of that in my weekly newsletter. And I hope maybe I'll type up a blog post for this as well. I'm just trying to get this information out there in every single form. So keep an eye out for that. And you can see the photo of the crows because I was blown away. And I was like, oh my God, stay here for a photo, and they did. So it was just a really important dream. So what does this dream mean? Well, let's start in the beginning. Walking into the church, sitting down in mass, like it is important, number one, for me to remain who I am. I am not covering anything up. It is so important for me to sit in my authenticity. And when I sit in my authenticity and I really own it, despite what other people might think or say, that is the important component for me to move through this next space, whatever that is. The next thing is that religion as a concept is about to get a massive makeover. Religion is getting a total rebrand. And this is like, I am so fucking excited for this because at the end of the day, so I grew up Roman Catholic. And while I don't identify with the church and I haven't since I was 16, there's some aspect of, the teachings of Jesus. I love those. They are so love-centered, right? Treat your neighbor as you would treat yourself, like love everybody, like just share your love. Believe that you are worthy. Like the base of the message is beautiful. The way that it's been implemented, I think, is a manipulation of the original message, which is meant to keep people small and locked into a fear cycle. That's my personal view. So when I think about a religion rebrand and all of the plants out in the hallway, I see that as bringing the love and the greenery and the safety of the earth into the religious space. It's not that religion is going away. Religion is here to stay, and it is a really beneficial concept. It helps people ground into the highest version of themselves. It helps connect them with the messages and the beauty of love, and it helps them show up in the world in really beautiful ways when people take the information for what it is and not the fear messaging that has been attached to it. So I feel like this is a sign that there's a lot of rebrand that's about to happen for religion, where we're about to strip all of that fear-based, like you are a sinner, you have to repent, like anybody who doesn't believe in this is going to hell. Like none of that is real. It is about to be stripped away. We are about to totally see a reconstruction of religious centers all over the world, not just Christianity. I'm just really, really excited for that. And we're bringing the outside in. So I feel like maybe we might start seeing masses outside. Maybe people might start gathering in open public spaces. Maybe we just might plant more shit in churches and bring more greenery to life, right? And just connect to the earth in that way. I think that's really, really exciting. The other thing is that our veil is about to shift. So what is the veil? That's a very good question. I don't think there's any one right answer. And I think because we are currently under the veil, we can't actually see what it is. Nobody can say this is what it is and this is what it isn't. So I have theories about it, and I'm about to share those theories with you. Take what resonates, leave the rest. My theory is that we do live in a simulation, but that doesn't mean our physical space isn't real. It's almost as if we live in this physical space and we will continue to live in this physical space even when the simulation changes. But there's almost, the simulation represents a thought structure, a social construct or a thought structure or something that has been, if we think of ourselves as a total soul that is in this human experience. So my body is inside the greatness of my soul, and I am manipulating this body through time and space in this physical experience. We are about to shift how our soul and our spirit interacts with our body and the physical space. That relationship is the simulation. The way that we have been tethered to our bodies when we come into this existence, that carries the information of the simulation with it. And we are all about to get a system upgrade that changes some of that information. We might see an absence of limiting narratives coming forward, which I'm really so fucking excited for. But the cautionary part here is that some people are so set in their ways, and it's okay for them to be set in their ways. It's just showing them that they fear change. They fear the expansive nature of themselves. It's a fear of, what does it mean to totally be loving? What does it mean to love myself? Loving ourselves and loving others is a vulnerable process. And many people have been hurt in that process before in this veil, in this simulation. And I think that in opening this up, there's going to be a lot more room for love of the self and love for others and love of the planet. But it's going to be difficult for some people who have been really hurt in the past, who don't want to change because of that hurt. They don't want to feel that pain again, right? So it's up to the people around them who do live their lives full of love. It doesn't matter if you resonate with this message or not. Just live your life as your authentic self and with love, and help other people in your lives, even if they're the most difficult people that you know, right? And so for me, that would look like, we have a really polarized political system right now in the US. There is a huge divide between liberal and far right. There is a huge divide between Trumpers and non-Trumpers. There is a huge divide between the super religious and the super, people who are like, hey, just love each other and believe whatever the fuck you want to believe, right? So it's up to us who believe in love to reach across the aisle and start to just show up for those individuals and just help them in the process. This doesn't mean giving your authority away. This doesn't mean overextending. This is being aware of what you need to sit in this safely, but also don't turn them away. Don't push them away until they push you away, in which case you can step back and just be like, hey, you know what? You need to chill the fuck out. Bye, sort of thing. But it's almost like, how can we share this love? How can we show up with love? How can we try to help these other people who have been hurt show up in love? Now, the glitches. We are about to see so many glitches. We've already been seeing technological glitches this year, right? There was that issue. I don't know if anybody knows about this. You can go look it up. There was an issue with the car dealerships where their whole systems went down earlier this summer and they weren't able to sell vehicles. Some people weren't able to sell vehicles for a week or more, right? And so that was like a total system failure. My mother-in-law had to deal with that. She was trying to buy a new car and she had to fill it out by hand, and she was there for 3 to 4 hours. That's crazy. So that was a system glitch. Then we recently had this worldwide system glitch with CrowdStrike, which sent, planes and air traffic into chaos. And so, that was a huge one. Just yesterday, I went to go wash my comforter at the laundromat, and I had to go take out some cash for quarters. I went to the ATM, and it's the first time I didn't ask for a receipt, which, I'm kind of kicking myself for that. But I never got the money. I never got the money from the ATM. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I went up to the gas station individuals. I was like, hey, just so you know, your machine didn't do this. And they were like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. You got to call your bank. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Just figured I'd let you know. So I go and call my bank. It never registered on my account. But when I was talking to the individuals in the gas station as well, they said that all of the ATMs in the area were down because multiple people from the banks around them, US Bank, Chase Bank, there were a couple of others, Wells Fargo, they had come to this gas station because their ATMs in their bank locations were not working. And this one wasn't working either. I don't know if anybody else experienced that, but that was just what I experienced. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not, washing my comforter today. That's fine. But like, that's a system glitch as well. So what I would say with the system glitches, don't freak out. We do not need to freak out. It's going to be okay. Sometimes we just need to take a break from technology, or it's just going to start happening, right? So it's just be observant of it and just notice it, and it'll be okay. You don't have to get everything done right this second, right? So just be aware that system glitches are about to start happening. When you see system glitches, know that it's a confirmation that we are getting close. We are getting so close. And I am so excited to see what's next. So I am going to leave this message here. That's all I have for today. I'm really excited to see how this goes. Let me know if this resonated with you. Let me know if you've been seeing system glitches. Let me know if you've been getting any sort of downloads on this yourself. Let me know what you've been hearing out in the world that is reminiscent of this message today. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my weekly newsletter. You can find that on my Linktree. You can find that on my Instagram. My weekly newsletters are packed full of information, life experiences that I'm having. We have journal prompts in there sometimes. We have events, but that's a great space to keep up to date with me and make sure that you never miss an episode. And just, I don't know. I'm just so excited. So I hope you have a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.